William Whalen here for GetMoreSports.com, and we're talking about NCAA Bubble Talk, and the tournament is just around the corner. Conference play is past the midway point, and we are coming down the stretch here. Teams jockeying for position to get on the bubble and off the bubble and firmly into the field. Let's start with Dayton. The Flyers have been talked about quite a bit between Michael Krumholtz and I on the weekly podcast for NCAA basketball. Right now, the Flyers are still in, but obviously a heartbreaking loss to George Washington. They would have liked that win, but George Washington certainly needed that. The conference needed that to boost things a little bit. My question with Dayton is, can you prove to beat a tournament team down the field? You got a couple opportunities in front of you. You got to capitalize on those. Today, they're certainly in, but moving forward, there's a lot of room for them to move on and off the bubble. It's going to be interesting to see how this conference plays out because quite a few teams on the bubble. George Washington, as I just mentioned, a number of teams jockeying for position coming down the stretch. We move to look at Cincinnati picking up a big-time road win in Texas at SMU recently. That win firmly puts them in the field. They have tons of good wins, both in conference and out of conference. Down the stretch here, but I like what I've seen out of them. Cincinnati should return to the tournament this year. They've got a couple more opportunities coming up to solidify things. I love the grit of this team. I've talked about their toughness quite a bit this year. It really, barring a collapse, they should be in on Selection Sunday. Moving to the Big 12, we take a look at Oklahoma State. The Cowboys have rattled off good wins over much of the conference, a couple good performances in non-conference play as well, but the one that stands out, of course, is their win over Kansas. That is your marquee win. That is your resume-building win. That is the win that you point to on Selection Sunday and says can make up for maybe a couple tough games that you've had. Oklahoma State's computer numbers are set as well. Playing in the Big 12 will do that for you. The conference is incredibly strong, top to really almost all the way to the bottom. Even TCU has gone through their struggles, but they're certainly talented. This conference has really boosted everybody. It's been a minefield on the road, but Oklahoma State has navigated well. They put themselves in the bubble talk recently, fell off. They're back on. They're moving closer to lock status for me, given their computer numbers, given the opponents they'll face. Just need to avoid any kind of unexpected bumps. Another team that has a chance to move into lock status is Providence. Providence has really kicked things up a notch. The Friars are taking out opponents in the non-conference, a big win over Notre Dame, and certainly wins in conference play over the likes of Butler, Georgetown, Xavier. They've got a shot at Villanova, and what I like about this team, they just play so well together. They play so hard for Coach Ed Cooley. What I like going forward is this team to move into lock category. I don't think they'll be on the bubble. I don't think there will be much drama come Selection Sunday for these guys. They're in. Moving back to Texas and the Big 12, the Longhorns have a really tough stretch coming up. They've had their struggles recently, have really underperformed. I know the Big 12 is really tough, but this was a team that we thought really would push Kansas at the top for that conference crown. I think they've got to win at least 2 games coming up. I know some people have said 2 games and they should feel good. I think two wins plus another one in the Big 12 tournament just to feel safe should do things for them. Their computer numbers are still fine. As I said earlier with Oklahoma State, the being in the Big 12 will do that for you. This team is just faltering, and I don't know if I trust them to get things done. But nonetheless, they are talented. They've battled with some injuries on the perimeter. I think if they win 2 games coming up in this stretch, maybe they'll need to add one in the tournament, maybe not, but 2 wins, and you should start to feel safe. The bubble is not altogether strong this year. Texas should have enough. They should be in. We move to the Pac-12 real quick and look at UCLA, a team that we brought up last week, a team that has really gotten on the radar of the committee after sweeping the Colorado and Utah homestand and then going on the road and beating Stanford the way that they did. That's a big-time road win for this team. However, they follow it up with a road loss at Cal. Cal has certainly underperformed in conference play. The RPI numbers are not where they want to be. UCLA is still in the mid-40s, but ultimately they're trending downwards. They just don't have the type of wins to go along and balance out their losses to really excite the community. Certainly, they're in the conversation. They're on the bubble. They've got the radar going. They're not going to be in UCLA. You just might be done. Lastly, I want to talk about the Boise State Broncos, led by high-scoring guard Derek Marks, one of the least talked about scoring machines all across the country, averaging nearly 20 points per game, topping 25 multiple times recently. Well, the great thing about Boise State is they're only a half game out of first place in a convoluted Mountain West that has teams like Wyoming, San Diego State, Colorado State, and of course Boise State all fighting for that number one spot. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants that crown. Boise State has gotten themselves in kind of under the radar. They started conference play off with a 3-game losing streak, and that could extend to 4 if you go into their last non-conference game. But since then, they have rattled off 7 straight wins, including some big-time ones over conference foes that are near the top as well. Now, here's the thing about Boise State. Their non-conference play is not inspiring. Their stretch coming down in here, multiple matchups against the likes of Air Force, San Jose State, Fresno State. There's not a lot of chances for marquee wins for them to further boost that stock. They're going to need to be a team that does some damage in the Mountain West tournament to firmly feel like that they're in the big dance field. But it's going to be interesting to see where their computer numbers rank. They're top 50 RPI right now. They're certainly in the conversation. I think they've got to be on everybody's radar for the big dance. But it's going to be coming down to tournament time in Las Vegas. Do they pick up a big win over the likes of a Colorado State, a Wyoming, a San Diego State? Those are the type of wins that they're going to need coming down the stretch to get into the NCAA tournament.